Wow. What just happened? That was awesome. Wasn't that awesome? It wasn't supposed to be awesome, but it was awesome. Holy shit. Let's review Birds of Prey and the rest of the long title. Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn stars Margot Robbie, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Ewan McGregor, and is directed by Kathy Yan. What's up, guys? It's time to review a movie that nobody asked for. When I saw the trailer for this movie, I rolled my eyes constantly, and it's all because of how bad Suicide Squad was. When I first reviewed Suicide Squad, I think I gave it a pass. I thought it was okay. And when I watched that movie, it's what I call a background movie. It's a movie that you can throw in the background that won't really annoy you that much. You can still have some fun with it. But you know in the back of your mind, what you're watching is a complete clusterfuck piece of shit. With extra emphasis on cluster, because that movie, editing-wise, is all over the place. It's just ridiculous. I've even heard rumored that like a music video crew edited the final product of the movie. I don't know how accurate that is, but it looks like and feels like a music video. But there were a couple of things that movie had going for it, and one was Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I think Harley Quinn is the best part of the movie. I can still have a good time watching that movie because of her. And you could tell that Margot Robbie really valued that character. She loved that character, and that's why she gave it her all. She loved it so much that she actually went to Warner Brothers and actually asked if she could produce and pretty much create her own movie based around the character. And this time, let's make it hard R and let's get it right. Honestly, going into this movie, I didn't know that it was a hard R. I just assumed that this was going to be a PG-13 movie, so it was kind of nice sitting in the theater and watching this movie unfold, and I was like, was that the F-bomb? Oh wait, there was another F-bomb. Holy crap, this movie's rated R. That's pretty much what happened as I was watching this movie. I discovered that it was rated R along the way, which was kind of cool. I am not a Harley Quinn comic book reader. I don't really read comics in general at all, so I got the vibe of who Harley Quinn was as a character. I mean, even in pop culture outside of movies, we know who Harley Quinn is based on her affiliation with the Joker. She's pretty much a female type of Joker. But this movie really lets her set herself apart and find her own voice, which is really the plot of this movie in a way. You know, she breaks up with the Joker, and then right away, she blows up the factory where she met him. And so she's basically tired of always being in the Joker's shadow, and she wants to make her own footprint. So that's what she does throughout this movie. And also, you have these baddies. Ewan McGregor plays Black Mask, and he leads this crew of villains in the Gotham crime underworld. And so he's after Harley Quinn, and also Cassandra Cain, this young character that has this diamond inside of her. And that's a funny scene too, because just in this one line of dialogue, it pretty much encompasses who Harley Quinn is as a character. She tells her, I'm going to get that diamond out of you one of two ways. The other way is cutting it out of you. And then she hands her some X-Lax. That's Harley Quinn in a nutshell. She doesn't really care. There's a little bit of a heart there. She's the ultimate female anti-hero. But also aside from that, you have Rosie Perez, who is pretty much the head of the Gotham police force. And she is after Harley Quinn as well because she blew up this freaking factory. Now there is this crew called the Birds of Prey, made up of Black Canary, Huntress played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and there's a couple others, but those are the two big ones aside from Harley Quinn. When I saw the trailer for this movie, I thought that like in the first quarter of the movie, the Birds of Prey were going to team up with Harley Quinn and it was going to be a girl power movie. And this is a girl power movie, and I mean that in the most affectionate way. If it's done right, it's awesome. But they don't actually get together until the very last act of the movie. You know, Harley meets these characters along the way. And both characters, Black Canary and especially the Huntress, are great. Journey Smollett-Bell, as well as Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who plays the Huntress. It's funny how she ends up landing on that name, by the way. I loved Mary Elizabeth Winstead in this movie. That was a nice surprise. She's one of those actresses that always shines in most roles that she does. She wasn't great in Gemini Man because they didn't really give her anything to do, but I always love the footprint that she puts on the movies that she does. And she was actually hilarious in this movie. There's one scene where they're like making fun of her weapon because she's pretty much like a female Hawkeye. And she has a complete meltdown and the entire theater just erupted in laughter. But guys, spelling it out for you guys, what works so well about this movie is the editing is finally done right. This movie structurally, I think, is perfectly assembled. Much different than what Suicide Squad was. Because Suicide Squad was just like this jumbled, colorful mess that you had a tough time even like honing in on anything. This movie, you're locked in through the whole thing. You're loving the characters along the way. You're having a blast with them. You're rooting for them. You're laughing your ass off. And speaking of laughing your ass off, Margot Robbie is just complete comedic genius in this role. Just think of like her as almost like the female Deadpool. In terms of laughter, very different characters, but the way she handles the character and really just the way she reacts to everyone in this movie is just so funny. Oh, and by the way, I just had to mention one thing about DC villains, because for the most part, DC doesn't have great villains. I think Black Mask, played by Ewan McGregor in this, is probably one of the best villains we've seen in the DCEU. He is that effective, and I think that's because this is a smaller scale movie. He's just a crime boss, kind of like what the Joker is, although this is a very different character than the Joker. But Ewan McGregor really gives it his all. I remember complaining about him in my Dr. Sleep review because, no pun intended, but he fell asleep in the movie kind of. Whereas in this movie, he really goes for it. He gives it his all. He has these crazy meltdowns throughout the movie, just sporadically. He's really funny, actually. And he's got a creepy side too, because he literally peels people's faces off. So that just makes him an even better villain. Now also, this is a kick-ass action movie, and that's another surprise I did not expect. Sure, there was some nice action in Suicide Squad, tame, but this one, I didn't expect the hand-to-hand combat to be just like John Wick awesome. And the reason I mentioned John Wick is because the guy who did the choreography for John Wick did the choreography for this movie, and it really shows, especially in that last act when they're having this big showdown in this like carnival setting. So, you know, visually, it's so interesting, but then just talent-wise, the stunt team, the actors, the editors, everything, how this whole thing just comes together. You know, you can tell when hard work is put in a movie. And I'm going to tell you right now, this was a labor of love. This was a way of like redeeming oneself. That's what Birds of Prey is. It's shocking to me because I thought this movie was going to be just a passable throwaway movie. Passable if lucky. And it ended up being in my top 3 favorite DCEU movies behind Batman v Superman Extended Cut and Man of Steel. No apologies for Batman v Superman, by the way. But this movie's just that good, guys. Please, if you want a fun, kick-ass, funny, just all-around awesome movie, definitely check out Birds of Prey. I'm giving this movie, I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm giving this movie a Trapped on an Island. That's insane to me. But it deserves it. It's really good. I'm going to see it again tomorrow, actually. And also, everybody's big question going into this movie was, are we going to see the Joker? I'd say like 5-10 minutes into the movie, I didn't even care if we saw the Joker because I was just so invested in what was going on. At the end of the day, it's not really Joker's movie, so it doesn't really matter. So anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on Birds of Prey. Post your opinions on this movie in the comments. Looking forward to hearing them. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day, and on Fridays, we do Free For All Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.